In this live coding session, we're going to work on a legacy code kata called the expense report. And I'm going to do this in Swift. And it is resisting our ability to add tests to it. So let's solve that. Thanks for catching me on the sound again. Whoops. That fool button of mine. Thank you, people. Hey, Mudshark, Ricklow, Garbob. Hopefully that is better. Thanks for catching me. And what's new? What's up? We had a good time last time. You know what I like about this kata? It is interesting. Is that unlike the Gilded Rose, which is clearly a mess, this doesn't look so messy at first glance. It looks very much like normal code. And it is so full of smells, and that's what I want to work on for myself and for you, is sussing out those smells. Of course, we don't want to improve the code until we have it under test. But we can't bring it under test until we make it testable. And that's part of what we did last time. We had these print statements, which are untestable. Like you can't, there's no way for the test to say what was printed. At least, apparently you can in Java and probably other languages, other ecosystems as well, but not in Swift. But we did manage to find a way, and that was this clever idea to say, let's create our own print method that has the same signature, and it's going to delegate to the regular Swift print normally. But in test code, we are going to override that. So instead of dealing with an expense report, we are dealing with a testable expense report where it has its own version of print, and all it does is append to an array of strings. That is where we were. Yeah, I look forward to tackling this. By the way, remember the goal is to add a feature. We want to add lunch with an expense limit of 2,000 cents, presumably. Cents, pennies, whatever they are for your currency. And in keeping with the well-known quote from Kent Beck, but it has been so influential on so many of us, is first, make the change easy. Right now, the change is hard. First, make the change easy. Caution, this might be hard. So first, you reshape the code to make it easy to make this change, and then we make this change hopefully in just like one line. That is where we are. We've got a few more folks. Do say hello in the chat, especially if you haven't already. Of course, there are plenty of the usual suspects are here. But if you have swung by and are lurking, say hello. Oh, did I forget to introduce the usual preamble? My name is John Reed. I am a trainer and a coach at Industrial Logic, where we help companies around the world build better software sooner. And let's see. Oh, I wrote that, and you can find me here. But other than that, let's see. Like maybe we can just get into it. Here's where we were. We were not doing anything with the captured lines yet. So my thought is that it would be pretty easy to join them with a separator of new line, and that should turn them into a single string, right? So this is like the output. Yeah, it's, I don't need the type explicitly now. Something like that. Because now I should be able, and let's just try to print the output. I know I'm printing it, but that's kind of a cheap way to look in the test output. There we go. All right. So I should be able to capture it now in an assertion. But we're going to run into some trouble. Some of you already know this. Let's see. Let's assert equal, and this is a characterization test. So I'm going to start by saying, let's assert it. Excuse me. Oh, shoot. Am I missing I'm still missing my mute buttons and stuff. Excuse me. All right, back again. So the idea with a characterization test is to capture what it does. And the easiest way to do that is to assert that something is equal to, well, nothing, and see what the test failure is. Oh, but I'm using TCR and it reverted it. Ha ha ha. That's okay. Here's the message. So the idea is, take this, and this is, but I'm going to warn you, this is going to fail. Like that. And I'm going to run it, and it's going to revert it because the test failed. Why did the test fail? It's hard to see. It's tricky to see. It is the date, absolutely. This is getting in our way. And excuse me again. Hopefully I'm not catching my wife's cold. That would be bad timing since I'm teaching a workshop right now. Doing the iOS workshop, but it's for it's a private workshop for a company. Pretty much figured out that, I mean, there are a few people who wanted to sign up for the public workshop, but mostly it seems companies, it's easier to go into a company or to have a company contact us and say, we want John Reed to teach us. Anyway, what to do about this? How to move forward. And part of what I also want to do is that this is, right now, this is an empty report. You know, it's got 0 expenses and it does some other stuff. And I think it'll be handy to, well, we want to do more complicated things, right? We want to add expenses to it. Here it is. The expenses are currently nothing. And I want to make this easy to test. This is just crying out for approval tests, but maybe we should solve the date problem first. Right? Here it is. Expense report. That's the same date, of course. And here is the time in UTC, off by a few seconds. So let's make this testable. And the solution is we've got to tame this date. Some things about date to be careful of. In this case, I think we can just turn this into a a function argument, but that's not always what you want, because there are times, like let's say this is deep inside of a closure, and that closure is going to be called later at some point, and you want to capture the date at that point when the closure is called. Then you can't pass it in as a function argument. You've got to hide it inside of yet another closure that then you can, like, say, get the date later. But for now, let's move in small steps, and I'm going to do this in to try to do automated refactoring as much as possible. So let's extract this as a variable to start with. I don't think I can extract it to... Xcode doesn't let me extract it to a method argument right away. But that's automated, and so that's safe, and that is worthy of checking in. It just checked it in because the test passed. And now I can change the signature of this thing. Oops, that's not it. Let us add the date and I'm going to make the caller. This is different. There's something, what I'm missing here, what Xcode doesn't have, and of course Xcode doesn't have, is it's calling it default value, but that's not, that I know that's not quite correct. This is really, I believe, the call at the, what to use at the call site. And in other JetBrains IDEs, that's a separate field. But let me add it. Actually, no. Let me not add it, and let me add the default value by hand. And with this date being set here, I should be able to get rid of this. This, of course, I mean, I feel good about this. There are no tests validating these changes so far. We're trying to move carefully. Build failed. Why? It did add it there. All right, let me take it out. Because I don't have automated checks, I'm relying on the print statement to see, is it still, 16 minutes after the hour, just before 17 minutes. So this is, again, without automated tests, we still want to check whether the refactoring is valid. So we do a visual check. It's not efficient, but it works. And now I should be able to substitute whatever date I want from the test code. And code that doesn't specify a date will use the date at the time of call. So now we need to make up a date. And this is where dates are actually kind of a pain, because it'd be nice to say, have something concrete. But just to demonstrate, what's wrong with you? Extra argument? I don't think so. Let's just see what this spits out. It should be sometime in the past. Yep. Yeah, that's not a great test. But it does verify that the test can specify the date now. If I run this again, we'll get the same value. That's not awesome. Let's come up with a more testable date, shall we? What do I want? This is where we get into date components and stuff. I guess I'll do it manually and we'll sort out. We'll sort it out. Calendar. If these are components, and then I can say components. How does this work? I want to set up, I don't remember. That's why there's this other thing. Make, and if you know it off the top of your head, tell me. It leads us to date formatter. Here it is. What does the calendar have to do with it? Looks like I can just do something like this. Actually, let me grab this whole thing. And let's just shove it down here and let's see how it feels. So if we say make date, let's make it today. Year 2023. It's March 4th. For me, it is 11/20. But I suppose this is in UTC. So it should be, what was it, 19? And 0 is fine. Nothing is calling this yet. I just want to commit it. Yeah, it is upset. Things are upset. Things are still upset. Oh, shoot. I'm a complete dork. Oh, man. What an idiot. Let me capture this. Right? That's the date I want. And set these all back to integers, I presume. What an idiot. That's one thing nice about working in an ensemble. You may think that working together, coding together, as a team would be terrifying because people would find out that you're actually not that good. Well, here it is, folks. You can see I'm not the pro. What's cool about the ensemble or coding collaboratively as a team is nobody's perfect. Everyone's got strengths and weaknesses. And what you get is the strengths. You essentially get the maxima of all the strengths, and the weaknesses we cover each other's weaknesses. And so we're constantly covering for each other and saying, oh, whoa, not there. Like, keep those as ints, John. That should pass and still output that thing. But now if I say make date and assign this to a date and pass it in, now we should see, let's see. This is my local time converted to UTC. So let me change this to 11. I'm a little scared. Does testing the date matter? Can't you break up a string and make sure the timestamp part is parsable as a timestamp? That's a very good idea. And in fact, maybe before I do this, well, first let me make sure, because I'm nervous about the time zone differences. But I think it is time for me to show you a feature of approval tests that we may or may not want to use. And to do that, we need approval tests. So let's go to the Swift package index to look for approvals. And we want to use this package. This is the URL. Now, how easy is this to do from app code? I don't know. It may not be feasible. Hello, Tukes. Good to have you. Package. No, I think I'm going to have to open this in Xcode. That's easy enough. I used to use a custom script to open Xcode where it would try to do all this fancy stuff until someone pointed out this is built in. Like XED is the normal thing. Oh, this is not set up very well. Hang on a second. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about the code. We're not looking at the code. I'm trying to add a package. I don't know why it always says unable to load README. There's obviously a README there. But let's add this to expense report. Here it comes, and we'll make sure to add it to the test target. Okay, with that, I should be able to see it now as a Swift package dependency. And let's run it and make sure it builds. Okay. Now let's use approvals. Because I want to try Garbob's idea. So Tukes, how is React Native? I wonder how many React Native projects are done test-driven. But we're doing it. And the way we do it is by essentially patching around things a lot and coming up with our own ways. For example, to say, render this thing, this expression, give me the button, execute whatever the button does. Because we built up our own infrastructure around that. Let's see. What were we going to do? Oh, approvals. Let us try. First, let me see if I can clear my throat again. Really hope I'm not getting my wife's cold. And let's import approval tests and run that just to commit it. Now, let me try to say, let's not specify the date. Okay, so this is going to go unused for now. We're going to go back to the current date and the problem that this is untestable. Because Garbob's idea was, can't we just check that it's a date? And that is a totally, totally valid and fun idea. And so now what I'd like to do is try to use approvals verify the output. Oh, this is going to fail because that's how approvals work. I need to turn off TCR or refine it. Let's see here. Don't revert. Let's not revert test files. Like that. And there are a few more steps I need to do for approvals. Let's go to those steps. The steps. How to use. We're not using iOS. Getting started. I'm trying to remember, like, what do we ignore? Here. We need to add this to the gitignore. So let's do that. In fact, I can do this right now. Let's work in small steps. Oops. Let us work in small steps. I'm going to comment that out and go find that gitignore. Now, where we're looking at the project, this is... I'm going to keep bragging about Xcode until it dies. I'm sorry. We can look at the files, not just the project, because now I can see things that aren't in the project, like the gitignore. And I can say, this is for approvals. That's good enough. Right, now I should be able to say, ignore anything that's approved and tests. And let's see if this will work. Let's see what it does. Where'd it go? Okay. I'm asking where did it go because I'm expecting approvals to pop up a diff reporter. And it didn't. Is that because I turned it off? Here is what was received. Again, it's nice to see this in the file layout. And here's what has been approved so far, which is nothing. So we can do this manually, but I'd rather make sure things are set up nicely for me to work. Let us see. Configuration, app code in user local bin. So the question is oh, shoot. It's not present. How do I get it back? I think I deleted the command line thing in order to show off using it with outside of app code. How do I get it back? Isn't user local bin writable? No, not by me. What do I need? I need user. I sure thought it would be in user local bin. Any ideas? What's a good path? Like I'm still a little surprised that it's fighting me here. Not user bin, not bin. I don't think it goes in here either. Arg. Well, poo. And I'm surprised it didn't bring up diff merge. Sorry about all these surprises. This is me trying to sort out. Boy, do I want to do that, Garbob? Maybe. I mean, I could try, I suppose. Let's. Yeah. I'm the only user on this computer, but, you know, I'm reluctant to defeat it like that. Do I have a bin? I do not have a local bin, but I could make one. Let's do that. And add it to the path. How's it going to find it if it's not in the path? I'm gonna have to add it to the path. So let's go config. That was dangerous. I'm gonna have to cut that. I should not do this live. I've got probably some secrets in there. How about if I export? Actually, I don't remember how to do it in Z shell. I mean in fish. Ah, crikey. I'm sorry, I'm frustrated there. I'm swearing like a sailor. I don't want to get stuck here. I want to move on. But this is one of the coolest features of approvals. I think I know what to do. I'm just going to try to fix it. So inside of approval tests, there are scrubbers, including a thing to scrub dates. How does this work? I don't remember how this works. So let us see if it will find. Sorry about this. Let's go to the tests. I think I need to document this a bit better. Got scrubbers. How does scrub dates work? Take the scrubber. Ah, that's right. I verify it with an option of scrub dates. Let's try this. First, let me bring this all in and copy it and paste it. So that's me approving it, even though this date is now stale. And now let me say, this is going to come in with options of scrub date. Will this work? Is it date scrubber? Scrub dates? Let's see what is received and approved. Doggone it. Where's my cool stuff? Where are my good tools? Why don't I know what's going on today? Let us look back at here. Try approvals, verify with the scrubber of scrub dates. Boo. Verify does take options. Womp womp. I am puzzled. I thought this would I'd be able to show off for you that it is automatically checking for dates and saying, woo, let's just call that date 1. Oh. How does it work? Test scrubbing dates. So test scrubbing dates here. Yeah. I thought it would do this for me. Is the date format wrong? I doubt it, but maybe this is only for ISO dates? I bet that's what it is. Thank you, Suigi. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly about the scrubber itself, that it is only for ISO dates because that is the main use case. Woo! Thank you. Is saying, you know what? I don't want to go through all this JSON and fiddle with it. And most of the time in JSON, you'll be getting, ISO, whatever it is, 1901 dates. And this is not that. So I would have to write my own scrubber. I'm not interested. Okay, this looks like a failed experiment, but a good one. Thank you. Let's go back. Let us set the calendar and set the calendar time zone to be, what was it? Time zone seconds from GMT. Let's bring this in, because this is really messing with us. Thank you, folks. This is why collaboration matters. Right? I want to make sure that this is definitely in GMT or Zulu time, not in my local time. So let's try this again. This will fail. And let's look at the failure. Here's what we received. And here's what's approved. Wait a second. Oh, I'm still not passing it in. You know, I don't like saying date. Let's change that in just a second, though. So first, let's pass it in, see what we received, and that should be, there it is, 1920, 1920. There. And now, without the help of our diff tool, unfortunately, I can copy and paste. Actually, it should also say down here. Oh, it doesn't say because it's using a different reporter. I have to find out what's going on with approvals and why. It's been a while since I've used them and it's not working out as I expected, but I'll just copy and paste, right? And now the test should pass. There we go. And this is what it didn't commit it. Don't revert files approved. Maybe it's excluding that from the thing. I don't know. I'm just gonna check it in. Ooh, check these in by hand. Like that. Ooh, my apologies. But now we should have a functioning test. Yes, we do. Let us go back to the tests. We don't need that print statement anymore. I'm going to get rid of that. And there it commits. Okay. Phew, that was painful. And so this is wrong. Good. And I want to change this API. I don't want, I just want to put in a date there. It's obviously a date. So let's change this to an internal name. Like that. Okay. So, Garbub, great idea. Would have worked great if I had an ISO date or a customized date scrubber. And that customized date scrubber would have taken all of this and turned it into something like that. And so any date that matched that, it would then replace it with the same thing, is the idea. Revert. Feel like I need to take approved out of there. I could be wrong. Yeah, let's just stick with that for now. All right. Woo, painful, but we got it. We are now testing it's not very interesting, the zero case. But now we should be able to test the complicated case. Let's do that. Let us add some more expenses. In fact, I'm debating about leave this here, make a new one. I think the new one will, with expenses, will sort of subsume this or make expenses in here. Well, let us make some expenses, because I don't think I need more than one test. So our expenses are going to be of type, what are they? Oh. Expense with a type and an amount. Let's see what happens. So the first one will be breakfast. And the amount will be, well, let's see. If I spend $1, 100 pennies, let's just have a look at what happens. This is going to fail. And here's what we get. Breakfast. What if this is like way too much and it's over? Then we see an X there. All right, let's come up with some things that are reasonable here. Let's do breakfast, and what else? Car rental of, I don't know. And dinner. Actually, what if I do like something, if I include things that are over and under some limit? I don't know what that limit is. Let's find out what that limit is. It's, okay, it's buried in here. Breakfast greater than 1,000, dinner greater than 5,000. So how about dinner 5,000, dinner 5,001? And breakfast like that. Now that should give us something a little more interesting. There it's showing breakfast, the breakfast amounts, and X behind next to anything that is over the approved limit. And hello to Dino. Greetings. And it's breaking out meal expenses and total expenses separately. This looks good. I am going to mark this by copying it manually, unfortunately, into the approved thing. And so now this should pass. Okay. I'm confident now that this is a pretty solid test of everything in the expense report. Like, we should be able to go to town on this code now and start changing stuff and start refactoring. And just to demonstrate that it is like checking things, if I accidentally put a space here for car rental and I run this, the test should fail and revert it. Or if I say, you know what, this is maybe I'm off by one here. Whoop. What if I'm off by one here? Whoop. See, it's working pretty nicely. As far as like testing stuff. So, woo, I'm still kind of reeling from the pain of wondering what's wrong with my approval test setup, and why didn't it find the other diff tool if it didn't find the app code one, and how do I bring back my app code command line ability? I'll sort those things out on my own time. But there you have it. Now, Any thoughts so far? Because I have, with a single test now, here it is. Let's make this a little more clean as far as like, this is the setup. This is the range. This is the act portion. And this is the assertion. Maybe I'll inline these. But first, let me run tests and commit these. I think I've mentioned before that what I've done in the past is write down comments like this. Given this, when I do this, then this. Until I figured out that a test should always have no more than those components, those three sections, and all we need is blank lines between them. Do I want to inline this? Let's do that. Is that hard to understand? It is harder to understand, I think. I think I'll stick with this. All right. Hey, there are a few more folks here. Hello. Do say hi in the chat. I love seeing who's here and who's lurking. Even if you're just passing through, say hi. We're about at the end of our time, and I think we are now set up for success with a good test. So the things we had to do were make the date injectable. We also had to capture the print statement output. I wouldn't have had to make the date injectable if it was like an ISO date from inside of JSON. Then the approvals built-in date scrubber or scrub dates would have taken care of it for us. So next week, I believe, my plan will be to say, okay, now we've got this under test, but the code is bad. The code is smelly. It's not bad. It's working. This is the thing about legacy code, by which I mean code that is not under test. Now it's under test, is that it's not bad. It is doing its job. It's just shaped funny. So it is currently, and well, how is it shaped funny? It is shaped funny because it is making it difficult for us to add lunch. To add lunch, we need to add it here. 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 4 places? Really? That's kind of gross. So that is the plan for next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. If for those who are watching after the fact, give this a like, a subscribe, or whatever it takes, and follow me. The usual things. And I will plan to see you next week. I wonder, is there anybody to raid? And I don't know if there is. Ah. Valuable code we're afraid to change. Oh, I like that a lot. So that's JBrains, Rainsberger, right? I like that. He captures the two things. It's valuable and like changing it is So that's great. Thank you, Swiggy. All right. So with that, I'm going to call this session to a close. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. But I've never done this before. Stick around because let's go. I don't know what's going to happen here. Jitter Ted is currently streaming. He's the guy who taught me to stream, and he's probably doing some cool refactoring in I would expect in Java. So let's go join him and say hello. Haha. Ready? Stick around. Even if it's just for a few minutes, this could be kind of fun. All right, let's go.